on. Hey Facebook, welcome to Chat Time. I'm here with Brandon Fong. He is a motivational speaker, cancer survivor, brain cancer survivor. He's here to share his story with us this evening. So I will sort of pass it on to Brandon here
and
to
I'm
sort
a coach
of
too, just like throw that in there.
Yeah, and a coach as well. Okay, so tell us a bit now, Brandon. You and I think, first of all, how did we meet? I think that's a bit of an interesting story. So maybe I'll share that. We met through actually my mom. Brandon met my mom initially, and she kind of shared my story of what I was. Are we not connected? There we go. And Brandon basically told her that, hey, I'm a cancer survivor as well too. Here's my business card. Let's connect, and sort of take it from there. So I sent him a message, and that's how we sort of became close. And Brandon helped me get through my cancer journey by sharing his story and pumping me up through that.
So that's a much more kind of like cut and dry story of how we met, just to let you know. So how it happened was this. I've been cancer free for the past, I think, like 11 years now. I got diagnosed in 2010, but so I actually met her because I met her mom first, okay? And her mom is like the cutest thing in the world. She's just like this small little compact, like cute, like you just want to hug her to bits because she's just like so cute. And we're talking about this, and she's telling me how her daughter has cancer, okay? And then like I was like, well, I'm actually a cancer survivor myself too. And we're just connecting at this deep level, and I'm like, it's okay, I've been there, she's gonna be fine. And like she's crying, I'm crying. I'm like, look, give your daughter my number if she ever wants to talk for support. Like, I'm here, because I used to do that. I used to like be part of an organization called Young Adult Cancer Canada, which is specifically just for young adults that get diagnosed with cancer, and it helped me heal. And I was like a peer facilitator too. So I was actually helping other young adults go through cancer diagnosis, and like, it's what helped heal my heart, and it gave me back. And so I've done this multiple times, okay? I've given my number away. No one's ever called. No one. Okay?
Except for me.
Except for her.
I was like, I'm going to call this guy. At first I asked my mom, I'm like, well, is he cute? And then she's like, what? You're going through cancer. Like, why are you making these jokes?
I'm cute now.
I was like, you gotta lighten up the mood, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to send him a message. And we met through that.
That's the first thing you said. Is he cute?
Yeah.
Very good.
I was like, let's see. She's always trying to hook me up, so I was like, let's see what she's
like
doing.
Mom. So mom tries to do it to my sister.
So yeah, okay, so we met, that's how we kind of met. And so tell us a bit about sort of who you were before cancer, like what you were doing, and sort of, what led up to the point where when you were diagnosed, sort of,
Yeah, no problem. Like, this is the really great part, because I really like kind of describing this whole process, because like just to pretext everything, like I never thought cancer could give me so much. And I mean that there was such a huge silver lining in getting diagnosed with cancer. It really kind of showed me what was important in life completely. Because the life I had before cancer was completely different during the life when I was going through cancer, and especially after cancer. And the only way to describe it was, okay, so basically, before cancer, I was living in downtown Toronto, and I was like, I had this like really good gig. I was like, I graduated out of 2 years, and like, I was completely crushing it. Like, I mean? I had like 4 picks of offers by the time I graduated university, and in a couple of years, I had this like insanely good gig. And the thing about that was, I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it to make other people happy. I wasn't listening to my heart and what made me happy. I was trying to get validation from other people that I had to prove, because I didn't have the self-worth to realize that at the time. And so I got stuck in a career that looked good, but I was miserable. I hated what I was doing, and I couldn't deal with those emotions and those feelings. So what do you do when you can't deal with your emotions and feelings? You repress them. You numb them. You work more. You drink more. You do drugs. You party. You get stuck in this cycle where you're just like a dog chasing your own tail. And that's exactly what happened before cancer. And I can tell you right now, I was so stressed out. I was stressed out for 2 to 3 years, doing this grind and hating it too, but pretending I did. And like, and when you don't listen, that's when I got diagnosed with brain cancer. I'm convinced, because I was so stressed out. And when I got diagnosed with brain cancer, it struck like lightning.
Were there any signs, do you think, that your body was trying to tell you, like, hey, slow down?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, this is the crazy thing. I had an out-of-body experience, okay? I was at work. I was like in my office like this. I was like literally doing my thing, like typing like that, like looking at my papers, like looking all productive. And then I kind of left my body. And I was looking down at my body, and I could actually see myself. And I said, and I heard a voice say, you need to quit your job. You got to get out of this. And I was like, and it's like I came back out of it, and I was like, what the fuck was that? I'm like, no, I got to keep going. I'm almost there. The carrot's almost there. I almost have the carrot. I can get the carrot. And you don't listen. And then my health started getting worse. I started seeing double. And I've always worn glasses. And the reason why I was seeing double is because I had a tumor this big, like this big, right there in the center of my brain. And it was splitting my vision in half. It was seeing double, like my optic nerve was split. I had to go around wearing an eye patch for a while. And you know what? I still kept working. Like I was that stubborn until one night I was out with a friend and I started throwing up. And when I started throwing up, it was like alarm bells were ringing, like, holy shit, I gotta go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital the next day. And then, you know, I went to Mount Sinai. I don't know if you guys know Toronto particularly well, but that's like the hospital in downtown Toronto. It's like the bomb. So I went there because like this is I don't know what this is. I need some support. And then like literally like in 10 minutes I had my own room. And then within 24 hours, then that's when my life changed. Okay? So like at that, this is that critical point, because I remember waking up that morning and it's like when you experience something like that, when someone tells you have cancer, it's like one of those moments you just never forget, because your life is completely changed.
What was going on through your mind when you heard those words?
Well, ironically, this is crazy. I had another so when that happened, I wasn't thinking. The best way to describe it is like this: my life just shattered. Like
everything you worked for basically just was like vanished.
Not what I worked for. It was like, okay, this is the best way to describe it. So if your life is a crystal ball, you have all your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations, your vision of your life. Mm-hmm. Now imagine that just shattering to 1,000 pieces. That's all gone.
That's a good way of putting it.
Where you're going, any sense of certainty is gone. And so that's why the really interesting thing about going through a near-death experience is what it does is brings you into the present moment. You don't care about anything anymore, because what happens? Your life's on the line. Mm-hmm. So like it's actually a really crazy place to be in, because you actually feel like you have really nothing left to lose. Yeah. So like that's the way I kind of took it. But here's the other thing too. Like when I got that diagnosis, again, I've another out-of-body experience. I was on the hospital bed like this, and I actually, like, I could see myself leaving my body again. I'm giving you the perception that this happens to me all the time, but it doesn't. Okay. And then like, and I was looking down on my body, and then literally I heard a voice come and say, "Who are you? Why are you here? And what's your purpose?" And I couldn't answer that. And in that sudden realization, I realized that everything I thought life was about was not. It just shattered. I had spent 26 years of my life trying to be someone I wasn't. And then at that point, it was like the biggest red pill I could possibly get. It was just like that. And man, like I can tell you right now, like that's when cancer became a spiritual journey. Because like, yeah.
So yeah. So you've mentioned that to me before, how that's where you really sort of connected with God and sort of your spiritual journey, like you're saying. So how did that shift?
Well, I wouldn't say, I don't, first I want to say I'm not religious or anything. And like, I know God is this big term that's got so much connotations associated with it. But how did that shift? I would say what happens, I discovered my own inner spirituality. And eventually that led to me believing in things greater than myself. Yeah, and eventually believing that there's this force that people call God that really has a divine intelligence about itself.
Is that what helped you get through sort of your cancer?
Yeah, so like I would say what really helped me get through my cancer, well, it's not my cancer because I don't own it. I'm very careful about my words too. Because like what you think, what you believe creates your reality, period. And like, and I'm going to tell you more about that. Like I used to not be able to walk, okay? They said I needed a double hip replacement. 3 surgeons. Never got one. Never got one. My uncle who worked at the General saw my hips like 2 Christmases ago. He said, Brian, you shouldn't be walking right now. And that's what I mean. You can't do anything. That's why your words are very important in what you speak and what you say about yourself. But how did I get there to that spiritual side? I would say essentially, it's just I found a larger, deeper meaning in it. It's like I almost like I assigned it. It was my coping mechanism. It was like cancer's here to help me. So I was like, it's gonna help me grow. And so what I said, well, if I can't, and I started doing things like I said, I gotta change myself. So I started being nice. I improved my relationships with my dad and my sister, which were very strained before. And I started just living in the now, and that's what really helped me. I guess that would be the best way to describe it. Yeah.
So it made you sort of reflect back on your life, and I guess I don't want to call it regrets, but anything that you were sort of carrying with you.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll be honest with you. Like I had for the longest time, me and my dad were like this, and my sister was the same way. It was like two rams going at it all the time. And I was like, look, I'm like, okay, I might be dead, so I just want to let you know, like I started doing things. I started changing me. Because that's the big thing. That's what I realized too. Like the big thing going through cancer was like, I've spent so much time trying to change other people.
Yeah.
Yet the only person I can change is myself. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. That was like a really deep truth that came through. I was like, okay, so if I want a better improvement with my dad and my sister, I gotta change me. And I did. And
did you find that so you mentioned a lot, like your relationships sort of shifted, or your perception of them shifted during that journey. Do you think that, I guess, do you find the way that they were interacting with you once they found out you had cancer changed? Like, how did the dynamics, like how did that, between your friends and your family, I guess?
Oh my God. So this is the really interesting thing, because cancer should be about you, the person going through it, right? And 90% of people are going to give you the time and space you need. But yeah, crazy stuff happens. Like people make it about them, right? And like themselves. It's like, it's what about me, and it's like, so everything comes out through their work. Like, I'll be frank, like I had a really good friend of mine in Toronto, and like, he was my party friend. And when like shit hit the fan, he couldn't deal with it because he didn't know, he wasn't capable. He didn't know how to. So he just I never heard from him. And that hurt. But I had friends that showed up in ways I never thought they would, right? So like people show up in a different way and it's not their fault, right? It's just, they only know what they know. So it was tough because like, and like, I'm not going to relive the past or anything, but yeah, things were said that should have been said differently. And there was a lot of drama that happened, but that's all kind of been reconciled. But yeah, like it's like, people behave in interesting ways when stuff like that happens.
Emotions are high, right? So it's tough. I definitely noticed that with my relationships too. It's just the dynamics kind of change. Like you said, some people don't really know how to necessarily react in that situation. A lot of people, they think like you're not going to make it, so they kind of detach themselves as well. So
yeah, exactly.
It's interesting to see, but the fact that you sort of grew you realized that you had to change yourself in order to change your relationships. That was pretty wild, sort of, in a sense too.
And another thing I did that worked incredibly well, like phenomenally well, like I can't emphasize this enough, is I started meditating. That gave me inner peace. Like I would meditate every day in the morning before I would wake up. I would do like this chakra meditation where, if you're familiar with the chakras, you have 7 chakras in your body, and just go through each one. And then
would you do this while you were going through your treatments?
I would do it on the way to the treatment.
Okay.
I would be driven. This is the other thing. So every day I would go. My mom would drive me in the hospital. So this is what my mom did. I was living in Toronto. My mom took 2 months off to take care of me in my small 1-bedroom apartment in Toronto.
Yeah.
And it was not a lot of fun.
But she was
having
there,
your mom crashing on the couch for 2 months.
Yeah, my mom would do the same, I think.
But
sure.
But man, she was there and she showed up. And I love my mom, as you can clearly tell. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think when you're going through that, like as much as like you're trying to deal with your own emotions and you're carrying all this weight and you're irritated by everything that's happening around you, it's like it's nice to have somebody else that's actually like helping you with the low things.
Yeah, my mom's my anchor.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, she's amazing. She's phenomenal. But yeah, like, but we you know, like going through cancer and your mom's there all the time is pretty crazy. Just put it that way.
Okay, so you were doing the meditation to go sort of to your treatments. That helped you get through.
Visualizations are phenomenal to do. I would visualize every morning too. So that's what.
So what would you visualize? Like that's what I like. I want to get. Is it like, oh, I'm gonna get through this? Is it like what was going through your mind in that situation? Because you know when you're faced with mortality, it's like things get dark really fast. Oh, yeah. So how do you get yourself out of that head space?
Okay, well, so the visualizations would help incredibly. Okay, so meditation is really good, but the visualization, I like visualization, especially when you combine it with meditation, because when you're in a state, what you want to do is you want to get your brain waves to like a more, like I think they're alpha, I don't know or beta waves, I'm not too sure, but like when you get that meditative state, because when you get in there, you can program your subconscious mind. So if you don't know anything about subconscious mind work, there's a lot of good books out there about like, you know, The Secret or like, you know, like all that stuff that's more like, you know, like
how you attack. What you put out there is sort of what you're attacking.
So what I'm going to try is explain how I did that process. So like essentially you meditate and get in this state where you're not in your mind so much and you're more in your body and you're more relaxed. And then what happens is, because you're not thinking about it as much, right? So what you want to do is you want to visualize and kind of see like in fragments, like don't get attached to all the details, but what would it feel like and be like to be living life after cancer in 5 years? So you connect with the emotion, the feeling, right, of what that feels like. Because what happens is your emotions are very strong. Your emotions are actually, there's like an energetic force behind your emotions. So if you can connect to that, what that emotion is and what it feels like, if you can connect to what that feels like and then project yourself into a future present moment, that's how you manifest. That's how you break it down, okay? Yeah, and I know people are chiming in right now. That's how you do it. So and people don't explain that. It's that easy. You meditate, because think about it. You're in a present now moment right now. A future now moment is basically 10 minutes from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. But if you make a conscious effort every single day to program your subconscious mind in such a way to feel and believe beyond conviction that you will survive brain cancer, it can happen. That's how I didn't get a double hip replacement either. Okay? And this is the truth, because this is the tough life stuff I like to talk about. It's like, it's the infinite possibility aspect that is you. And I have all the credentials because you know what? I've done it. I beat cancer. Like, you know what I mean? I had a 50-50 chance to be alive and I'd be dead in 2 years type of thing. All right? And that was 11 years ago. And so, yeah, and I don't even know where I'm going on right now. It's good.
It's great information because it's like showing us what
that's how I do
through.
It. Yeah. That's how I did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's like when you're in it, it's hard to explain, right? Yeah. And it's like, for me, like I look back at it too, because I remember at one point I called you and I was like, the second time around that my cancer kind of came back, and I was like, Brandon, like they're telling me that I need an act of God, like, and it was radio silence on the other side, and I was kind of like waiting for you to be like, no, it's gonna be fine, and like it was like with a straight tone, you told me you need to face your mortality, and it was like a wave that hit me, and I was like, but you survived brain cancer, like how can you tell me this, you know, like you're supposed to tell me everything's gonna be okay, and you were like, not everybody makes it, and it was just like the reality of it just hit me, and I was like, okay, there is that possibility, and I have to go through that. I have to go through the feels. I really had to do that. Yeah. But then it's like it wasn't that I was giving up. It was just that it was a reality that I had to accept, that this could be, and this is one of the outcomes. This could be it. But I'm gonna give everything I have to sort of fight through it, right? Yeah. Exactly. And you know, I was put on the palliative floor too, so you've seen crazy things.
That's
I've seen
depressing.
things.
That floor is depressing.
Yeah,
it's like it smells of death.
Well, there's like priests coming in every day. They're cleaning out rooms, and
sad.
you know, you see things. People are sent home, and they're like, "Well, you have a few weeks to live," kind of thing. So I had a different roommate every 3 days, and I was like, you know, to stay in that mindset, to be like, I'm staying focused. I'm going to get through this. Like it's tough. So,
it's tough.
But I agree what you're saying. You explained it very well, because it's like you have to visualize it. You have to already see yourself. Like I've already conquered this. I've already moved on with my life, and so it takes a skill to do that. So yeah, so that's great. Now in terms of like side effects,
I just had
we got this. Okay.
No.
In terms of side effects, like long term, now you're saying 11 years.
It took us 10 minutes to get started because we were laughing like this for 10 minutes before.
That's why we're late. Sorry, we apologize for that. So yeah, side effects, long-term side effects, like your hips. You're walking now.
Yeah. So you want I do like You're
kind of wobbling. But
I'm wobbling around because like I hurt my foot.
I was like, here we go again. He's back on crutches. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Hobble around in my place.
So in terms of long-term side effects, okay, so this is something that you've been dealing with for a long time, your hips and stuff. But
hips. So like my hips are actually, they don't really bother me at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is different. This is just your foot.
This is just my foot. This was all stress related, by the way. This one you don't listen. This is what happens. Your body starts giving you messages. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. Now, in terms of long-term effects from cancer, because you did the radiation. Yeah. How many sessions of radiation did you?
Okay, so I did 28 rounds.
Okay, yeah.
And like, to give you some idea, they put you in a bunker, okay? It's like in Mount Sinai, it's like this bottom floor, and it's like, it looks like okay, this is a gross exaggeration, but kind of like a Defying bunker thingy, kind of. Like you're going to a separate floor, and it's like, there's a back room, and it's like, this is like the radiation room, right? And so like, and it's like, you know, they got like, it's a really cool setup. They strap you in a bed and they take a mold, okay? They take a fiberglass mold and they put it on you because you can't move. Like they're radiating specific parts of your brain, and I had 4 tumors, okay? By the time I found out I had cancer, I had 4 tumors, okay? I had one that was close to my pineal gland, you know what I mean? That's your third eye. And then you got these different ones over here, one that was like in my back, whatever. And so they would radiate my brain, then they would do my entire spine. And the reason why you do your spine is because you have spinal fluid. And so like, and that's connected to here, right? So it goes through your spine. You could even get like, you might even have, you know, like, so yeah, so you do the whole thing. So it's like, you're getting all your organs radiated. Your thyroid, your heart, your lungs, your stomach, everything. So, you know, radiation, it's terrible for you. Like, you can't see it, but at a cellular level, it destroys your cells, right? So, I was going through this, and I'll tell you, this is fucking crazy. Excuse my language. And I just remember this, and holy crap. So, the first day of radiation, after, I got home, and this was a crazy thing, okay? Because this was the first side effect I felt. And I couldn't stop sweating. I felt like my brain was expanding and pressing on my skull. And it was like, and I was just like lying in bed sweating and like shaking and like having like this, felt like my head was gonna explode, and my mom was in another room. If I told her anything, she would bring me back to the hospital. I was like, I ain't going back to the hospital. And so I'm like, and it's like, it was like the worst possible sweats, and just like my brain felt like it was melting. It was like, it was so surreal. I remember being terrorized in fear. I'm like, oh my God, if I have to go back and endure 27 more days of this, I don't want to do this. I'm out. I'm freaking out. And you know what? It was just the one time. Thank God.
Yeah.
But it was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And then when they radiate your brain too, you smell things.
Burn? Is it like a burning smell?
No,
like,
yeah. You smell a burning thing. It smells like chlorine. Anytime they blast you right here, right in your prefrontal cortex, so that's where they're blasting, I don't know, this area here, I would smell chlorine. And it was like,
wow.
Are you guys, and I asked the radiation guys, like, are you putting chlorine in there? They're like, no. Like, why does it smell like chlorine?
Yeah.
It's like your brain.
No, it's weird things. Like, I remember going through chemo, and you told me you'd have like a metal taste in your mouth, And it's like every time I would eat something, everything tastes like metal. Like water, I couldn't even drink water for months.
What?
Because, yeah, it tastes like metal. I was
That's
like,
so
I'm
weird.
so dehydrated and I'm supposed to drink, but I can't drink water. So what am I supposed to drink? Or certain foods, too. It's like, I remember, like, onions, like, I could smell it and I was like, oh, no, like, take that away. Like, I can't even be around it. So it just, like, your entire system is so, like, it's in shock, right? Like, it's being zapped.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of crazy. Now, in terms of...
Do you want me to talk about AVN or no?
Which one?
The vascular necrosis, the hip things and how that happened? Or no?
Yeah, talk about that. Actually, this is a great... Yeah.
Do you want me to tell you that? Or no? Okay, cool.
Yeah, talk about that.
Okay, all right.
Okay, go.
First show.
Okay, we're going to talk about the hips. Go for it.
Okay, so this was another side effect. And this is the one that kind of... This is like, okay, so after I survived cancer, so it took me 4 months to beat cancer, okay? I got diagnosed April 26, 2010. And
Same day as me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, but it was a different year. April 26th is coming up.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
See, isn't that crazy?
Go.
Isn't that crazy? Same date, different year. Like...
Yeah. Yeah.
Mind blowing.
Okay, go with the hips.
Oh my god, that's crazy. Okay, so yeah, this is so synchronicity right now. Craziness. I'm really grateful for this. Hallelujah. Okay, so the hips. So getting onto the point. So I was like, so this is the crazy thing. So after cancer, okay, I gotta back it up some more. Can I do that?
Yeah, back it up. Do what you gotta do.
Okay, I gotta do what I do because I gotta tell you the whole story. So, so basically, like, you know, when she was talking about death and mortality and accepting that, so I'll tell you what happened to me. And this is basically, after this is like, this is the critical shift where I was like, I was reborn. Okay, I don't want to tell you how this happened and what I did and what occurred. Okay, so I had a brain tumor, like I said, this big. Okay, right here. They had to go in and do a pathology report. Okay, and I was like, there's no way I want to get a pathology report because I know I can die. It's like, well, it's the only way we're going to treat you. So I went and get this done at the Western Hospital in Toronto. It's like a brain hospital. Toronto's that big. They got a hospital dedicated to the brain. There's like the smartest doctors, surgeons that go there. And they're doing my head, okay? And before they do that, you got to write like a consent form that if you die, you're not going to sue them. So I did that. And that was a scary thing because I was like, I could die. I might not wake up. And I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to accept that reality, like I was telling you.
Yeah.
And because of that, when that happened, everything became so surreal, right? Because like, holy crap, like I might be dead and I might not wake up tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I gathered my whole family around, which is not a very big family, just my mom, my dad, and my 2 sisters, okay? And we're holding hands, and this is when I was like, I meditated so much at this point. And I was just meditating at them, visualizing me sending love through my hands. Okay?
This was the day before your surgery, right?
Yeah, before my surgery. Okay. Well, this was during my surgery.
Okay.
This is before I got prepped. This was like, I was in the hospital and I was on the gurney and I did this with them. Just to give you some context, okay? Before getting wheeled in. So this is like 10 minutes before surgery. And then my dad's like, oh my God, I felt that. And like my dad doesn't believe in any of this stuff, you know what I mean? At the time he didn't. And then I told him, look, even if I don't wake up, if I die tomorrow, I'll always be with you. And that was my way of saying goodbye and I love you. And when I did that, I was just like, I completely surrendered. And 12 hours later, I woke up. And the first thought I had that came into my mind when I woke up high on morphine, which feels really good, by the way, really good, was I'm alive. I'm not dead. And I'll tell you, like that, everything changed. I remember everything looked different too. Like it was like when I saw the sun rise from sunset, like I saw it for the first time. I started doing things that came from a place of like a child. It was like you were reborn at that point. I'm serious. Like you already had said goodbye. Yeah, and I'm serious because like I actually went and backpacked through Europe like literally like a month after I survived cancer, and people would be like, why are you walking so slow? Why are you doing this? I'm like, cause it's beautiful. Like you're appreciating everything. Take a moment. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I was always hustling before, right? So very different. So yeah, so that is what got me to really accept death, and that's what feels like being reborn. And And the AVN thing was a part of that process too. Because after a year after cancer, I got these side effects. And basically, because I was on these steroids, I walked around with 2 groins being pulled, okay? I pulled my left groin first, and then my right groin. And I was dragging one leg behind the other. And it got to the point where I was just like hobbling around like this. And then like, I was so stubborn because guess what? Even though I was born anew and I knew cancer had given me a totally new purpose in life and basically to essentially like just kind of like work on me, I was like, no, I gotta keep on grinding. I gotta keep on grinding. So I felt like I was trapped in a shadow trying to break out. Because I was trying to, I was trying to like live a certain life and it didn't feel right anymore. And you know what? All these side effects came in.
It's your body again talking to you, right?
There
it's
you
telling
go.
you like you gotta put a break on. You gotta reassess.
Yeah, and you know what happened? I went back to Ottawa and I found out a year later that like a year after cancer that I got a vascular necrosis of both hips and there's no cure. You need a full double hip replacement. Click. Enter depression.
Yeah, because you couldn't walk at that point, right?
I have
like
a
you
permanent handicap pass.
Yeah. No. I know. I laugh because it's not funny, but I remember seeing him. Like I saw Brandon and he was walking, and I saw his car, and I was like, "Why do you have this sign on your car? Like you're walking fine." You know, it didn't make sense to me. And you're like, "Yeah, but I've had." And after you told me your story, I was like, "Okay, this makes sense."
I couldn't walk more than 100 feet without being in pain.
Yeah.
I carry that cart around my mom and drive me places. You know what I mean? Now I have no issues walking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the lovely side effect of cancer.
Yeah.
Well, everyone gets side effects. Most people do.
Yeah, I think pretty much.
I met like 1 or 2 people that haven't. They're rare, but yeah.
Yeah.
Most people get brain fog.
I still deal with brain fog. Is bad. My memory,
crazy.
It's like it's so bad. It's getting a
mush.
bit better, but it's mush for sure.
It took me 3 to 4 years.
Okay, well I got another little while to go, guys. So be patient, please.
She's smart. She'll do it in 2.
We'll see. So, okay, tell us a bit, because you told me a bit about your experience with like the whole, because you were diagnosed at 26, and like my focus right now is also with individuals who are, you know, adolescents and young adults as well, because you're at a point in your life where, you know, you're building your career and suddenly you're hit with cancer and you're off the workplace for 2 years, right? Or you're trying to build a family and then suddenly it's like, you know, all these like chemo, radiation, the side effects, it's like, well, infertility, you know? So you think you have all the time in the world, and then suddenly not only are you trying to survive, but then once you make it through, it's like you have all these other challenges that you have to deal with as well. So I guess,
You actually hit the nail on the head there. I feel like we're at like a yak retreat right now.
Yeah, it is, because we both dealt with it at a time in our lives where we were like,
young adults.
we were at our peak.
You're at your prime.
Yeah.
I was 26 years old.
I was 33. Like I was like, finally, my life was coming together. It's like I got the job that I wanted. I had everything aligned, and then
all your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
I know it's and that's a unique thing, because as a young adult, it's like we're a demographic that is so different from everyone else, because cancer is when you're young, you know what I mean? And they define young adult between, at least YAC does, between the ages of 19 and 39, okay? That's like the young adult phase, which is basically, you know, you do that. And that's like 20 years right there, right? So essentially, that phase there is when you're building your sense of self. That's how I like to describe it. And your sense of self is getting built, and you're like, oh, this is my life, this is what this looks like. And then what happens is your sense of self gets destroyed, in a sense, because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And not to mention either, going through all the different things is like, you feel like going through cancer, there's all these things that come up. You feel like you're broken goods. You're not sure if you can, there's so many things that you have to deal with at that age that no one else, and it's really tough. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head. And that was very hard for me too, because it's like, I was like, you know, I felt like I got robbed, is what I felt.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, actually. Yeah. Because you see everybody else, like everybody around you is getting the promotions, everybody's building their family, and you're like...
And you're living at home with your mom.
Yeah, and just like, you can't even walk. I couldn't walk at one point. I was like, I can't even walk. Like, you couldn't walk, you know? So
it's just like, it sucks.
It's like you've taken 100 steps back, and then you have to rebuild, and then you're dealing with...
And you're doing it all on your own.
Yeah.
You're doing it on your own, and like... Or you got, and for me, YAC was a huge one. That support group there was huge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, support. I always talk about community because, like, I'm so thankful that I met you and another friend of mine who went through breast cancer, because you guys had already sort of gone through it, and you were sort of giving me hope, but also it's like you guys were young, and it's like you could relate to what I was going through, and you prepared me a bit for the challenges that were coming, which made a big difference.
And can I say something too? I was afraid you weren't going to make it.
Yeah, I know, you told me.
Yeah. That's kind of why I kind of...
You distance yourself. And I respected that, because I was like, well, I haven't heard from Brandon for a while. And at the beginning, I was like, I was in panic mode, right? So I was relying on you to sort of get me through. But we had that conversation about mortality, and I was like, okay, this is a part of the journey that I have to do on my own. And just get through it, you know? And I tried to, you know... You get very protective of your surrounding. Like, other people couldn't relate, right? So I didn't want to share a lot of stuff with my close friends and family, because I was like, they're going to panic and they can't necessarily understand what it is. They're supportive, but they don't understand what it is that I'm going through. So that's where you guys came in, and it was like, I'm so thankful to have this community to be able to do that. And you've seen a lot of people, a lot of your friends who didn't make it, right? So it's like
a lot of funerals.
You've got, and that's the thing, when you've seen that, it's like, you know that that's a reality that you have to sort of be prepared for. So right now, like being 10, 11 years past, do you ever worry that, you know, you're gonna have to, that it'll come back?
No.
It's like, it's in the back, it's past, and...
I think it, you know, like initially, like, you know, when you're going through cancer and being a cancer survivor, like, you know, there's like, you think it's going to come back. And then eventually, after a while, it becomes a safety net going back to the hospital and just getting your yearly checkup. And the doctor is just like, yeah, you're good, Brandon. You're good to go. You're good to go, right? Go live your life. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, thanks. High fives. High fives. I'm alive. But then I stopped going in 2017.
You stopped going, or they stopped asking you to go, kind of thing?
The only way you stop going is when they ask you to stop.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then
otherwise they chase you, kind of,
Yeah. They hound you down.
Yeah, they do.
But then, like, and I remember being there with Dr. Malone. His name was Dr. Malone, and he looked like a Hollywood star. It was so funny. He's like a Hollywood doctor. He looked like he belonged in Hollywood. He had a funny personality. Sorry, just going off there. Sorry. And he's like, Brandon, you don't have to come back. You don't have to see me anymore. I was like, no, I want to see you.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling.
I want to see you. Yeah.
I remember the nurses. They were like, we won't see you anymore. I was like, no, but I need to see you.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I've been seeing you every day. Like,
exactly.
Like,
there's a safety.
There's a safety. I was like, but what if it comes back? Like, they're like, you need to just go. We'll see you in 3 months.
Like, you need to just chill. No.
Yeah. Go home.
Take these pills and just go to sleep.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling, because I definitely went through that too, and with the doctors as well.
I know.
Okay, well, this is good. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add. I think you did such a great job sort of summarizing your experience with us, and sort of... I would
say, yeah, sure. I would say, like, you know, I do want to add, because, like, you know, that's the cancer experience, and, like, you know, cancer's over, right?
Yeah.
So what's life after cancer?
Yeah,
right?
That's a good point. Okay.
It's like, because it's always like, you know, like, it's like, and it's not just life after cancer for me, but it's like life after cancer for everyone else. Because it's like, you know, everyone, like, like when I did a bunch of, like, I've done a lot of public speaking on cancer, tons, like years of it. And I think I said this at the Ottawa Regional Cancer Foundation, their fundraising breakfast. And like, when you think about cancer, you got to think about cancer as if it was a pebble in a pond. Okay. You drop that pebble, and that pebble is you in essence. Okay. You're like really floating, sinking down. And the ripples it creates is what impacts all the lives around you. And then, because cancer, in a larger metaphor too, guess what? Cancer doesn't discriminate. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, Indian. Doesn't matter your ethnicity, your creed, your religion, how old you are, how young you are, how much money you have,
or how healthy you are. Too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone gets affected. So it's this denominator that everyone can understand. Okay, and it's like, and so like life after cancer, what does that mean, right? And it's rebuilding who you are. You're building that sense of self, right? And part of you kind of does die. Like I had like I changed completely, right? And it's like, and then you gotta ask, and you ask yourself some serious questions. You know what I mean? Like, what type of life do you want to live? And like, And you know, ultimately, like what it comes down to for me is it's been about my own happiness and taking care of me and putting myself, like making me number one for a while. You know what I mean? Because like that's what you got to do. And you know, I'm so blessed to be here with you because like at the end of the day, it's like
we could have not been here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
and
crazy.
I'm really glad I met your mom too.
Yeah, she's happy. She was excited about this live. She's like, Brandon's gonna be on live. So yeah, so no, that's awesome. And I think that's a really good point because I know for me, like life after cancer, like I feel like I've been reborn too because it's like I can't relate to the person. You've gone through an experience that's completely changed you, right?
Yeah,
so it's like there's no way you can go back to the person you were before. You just can't.
You can't.
So it's like you've seen too much, you've experienced too much that you have no choice but to grow.
Right.
And it makes you realize how precious life is and
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
little time we actually have here and what you want to do with that time. Is like, do I really want to be putting myself in a position where I'm unhappy, where I'm stressed, where I'm doing things that I don't necessarily want to do? Or I want to, you know,
That's right.
stress myself out for other people. It's like, no, like you said, put yourself first. It really brings back the focus to you and what you want to do. And I think for me, it's also given me like an urge to sort of give back. It's like I've been in this situation. I've learned a lot through this experience, and I feel like not everybody necessarily has to go through that to learn what I've learned. So if I can share that with people, then why not, right? And I think that's one of maybe the reasons why you've done so much public speaking as well, is sort of to give back. And,
yeah, I really do. Yeah, I like talking. So.
Yeah, that's good. So okay, I think we'll end it here.
I'll say one more thing too.
Okay, go. You like talking, so
because I like to talk. Just going on that. Just one more thing. It's like I know we're coming from a perspective where you could certainly appreciate like we're both cancer survivors, but we're just humans, just like you.
Yeah.
We're all going through our stuff, man.
Yeah.
And no story is greater than the next. And here's the thing too. I'm human. I get pulled in. I get sucked back in, and like I get stressed out. Like, you know what I mean?
That's a
I have my own.
point.
Like, you know, I'm not perfect. I'm human, and like, you know. And it's been 11 years, so like sometimes you tend to forget sometimes. And I'm actually on sabbatical right now because I burnt out in March. So there you go.
Yeah, and it's
hustling
just,
too hard.
Yeah, it's
not
true.
dealing with my emotions.
Yeah, life comes back and it sort of gives you
back.
another kick. You know, there's always challenges. Something else. You know, sometimes the comment that I get is like, well, you've gone through cancer, you can go through anything, right? But it's like, in that moment, it's like you're dealing with another challenge, and it's like, it's still hard, you know? It's like, I'm already depleted. Like, I've already gone through cancer. Like, my tank is on empty, and now I have to, like, go through another challenge. So we are human, it's true in the end, and it's we still mess up.
Yeah. Part of the journey.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for listening in, guys. Brandon, thank you so much for being here. It was amazing, honestly.
That was dope.
So we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.